Any other questions on item 2? Alderman Wilson.
Mr. Chairman, I feel that we've known the need here for 20 years or more. Am I right?
I wasn't 20. That's a long time ago. I don't know.
You were here 20 years ago.
No, I don't believe so. Certainly I didn't recognize any need 20 years ago. But
well, when we saw the development of those homes in the low area and they immediately started talking about the creek banks flooding over, we knew there was trouble there 20 years ago. And nothing has been said until the last 6 months about getting a project in. And here we come along with $2.5 million. And I'd like to ask this question first of all. Has any work been done downstream in the subdivision where the flooding took place last year?
Mr. Mayor, the only work that has been done is work in the city park, and community services have done some erosion control work. Any work downstream would not solve the flooding problem. It would be erosion control that would be contemplated in those areas.
There was never any raising of the embankment along the creek then?
No.
See, I think it was maybe about 5 or 8 years ago, I don't know whether it be community services or works, expropriated a number of acres from the whole, where Adelaide Street is now. It was some corporation in Toronto owned the property, and the land was expropriated, a fair number of acres. How many acres, I don't know. But I think we all remember the situation because we expropriated it. And then when it came to cost settlement, we found that the award was 3 times the money that we had been told it would cost. So this kind of set us back to start.
Oh, that was the Runnymede property on Adelaide West.
That's right. That's roughly where we are now. But
yeah.
Then I also know at that time
we painfully remember that.
Pardon?
We painfully remember that.
Yes, but I also remember that we had dialogue even in those years with conservation to the point that we knew where floodplains were, and we also had the principle of putting controls on development so that they didn't allow flooding to another area. And I recall one at the very same time as that, where the floodplain was designated and then the road control was set down, so that finalized it. And this is why I go back to why in the name of heavens this wasn't done when Adelaide Street went through. Now, obviously, we've allowed building to get into the floodplain there, or we'd have put the whole darn detention pond north of Adelaide Street, and it would have cost nickels and dimes because we built Adelaide Street there, and it's a natural holder. Now, I still maintain that we're doing a bit of a knee-jerk here, and we're not going to get the full answer. We could have a flood control on a much smaller proportion above Adelaide and one at King Street without going into these great mounds. We're going to, as I understand, present a 16-foot. Have you seen the pictures, Joe? No. All right. I go along with Joe Kolodzi because look, there's a picture of a rezoning. It's not red and white and colored. We should have something here for a $2.5 million project. Yes, I've seen them. Have you seen them? All right. You think it's good engineering? Good. I know you knew about it.
Okay, now.
But the thing is, we have floodplain control, and it should be north of Adelaide Street because we have plenty of detention area there without putting up a wall of 16 foot of earth. Am I right there, Jim? Is it 16 feet? How high?
No, you're wrong on a couple of points. You're wrong on, first of all, there is no building in the floodplain north of Adelaide, period. Okay. Secondly, if you built detention ponds north of Adelaide, it would require 2 detention ponds, and it would be much more expensive than proposed detention ponds. So both of your facts are incorrect.
No, I beg to differ. The design of Adelaide Street was to accommodate Tatra Street that you're talking about. It was in the floodplain and then taken out because of the design of Adelaide Street. But what I'm asking is, and this is the question I asked, Is this mound, this bulk, is it to be about 16 feet high?
Yeah, your spot that you wanted does not have enough capacity.
Oh, I understand that. I understand that. But you're building the mound of earth 16 feet high.
Be maximum 16.
And then there's going to be a control gate on it. What amazes me is that we said we're going to put $2.5 million out here, and somehow we had the city, the taxpayers, the ordinary taxpayers, paying for this, with the exception of $188,000. Usually, we're looking at conservation to pay 45%, and the city pay 55%, something like that. But we're saying, look, we'll pay 90%. We'll just ding the taxpayers, the ordinary homeowners, nothing to do with the levy system. Let me just go back to another great undertaking. About 10 years ago, we had the North Creek diversion, and it was all tabulated by staff that it would be paid off. $1.25 million would be paid off. $1,250,000, I think, would be paid off in 5 years, or 5 or 6 years. Here it is, about 10 years later, I believe. We owe $734,000 of that money yet. I just say, maybe we're getting a little hasty in these big projects that there's no guarantee this is going to stop the flooding, I understand. But by God, I think it should, with a 16-foot mound. But I really feel, on the basis of the last one, where it was set down that it was going to pay itself off just like that, we're just hitting the taxpayer because we feel it's budget time, we've got a lot of reserves, we're pushing them around, and we go and hit the taxpayer. That debenture should be totally charged to the levy system and put in the books that way and never go on the general taxpayer at all, Mr. Chairman. I'm totally opposed to the type of financing, and I think if we got down to the nickels and dimes and we could have a 10%, yes, we could cut the tax down instead of building them up every year. I'm just totally opposed to it, Mr. Chairman. We've not proven too much. We don't even bring pictures out. $2.5 million, it isn't even worth looking at, supposedly. I think it's a big feature, and we really should be examining it a little more deeply than we are.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to say this. That alderman who spoke, I forget his name now. Wilson, yeah, I've seen it around. Was invited by 4 engineers to come down and review it. Where were you in August? Why didn't you come down and see it if you're that interested in it?
I've seen it.
Well, what are you talking about then? Okay, so you've seen the project. 2, it is up to you tonight whether you build this or not. It's going to cost $2.5 million. Also, it's going to be a park at the same time. It's not going to be filled with water. I would say most of the time it's going to be a well planted and drawn out park. And if you've seen the scheme and the designs of it. Now, we have a problem with flooding in that area. If we don't build it, first of all, if we build it your way, the homes are going to float away at the end. If we build it our way, the homes are going to be safe. Now, you have your decision tonight whether you want to build this dam or not. We've been talking to these people for nigh on 2 years that we were going to do something. We're at the point now we can do something down in that Ward 5 to prevent any further deterioration of the homes in that. So it's your decision. It's your decision tonight.